we're going to push and push and push. You will always back up.
Weird way of doing sex.
In this world, obsessed with kindness and ethical blindness. So please excuse my sarcastic tone. I'm a bit underwhelmed by the sample shown. Mr. Bistro fraternity guy, you got my ass full of bloodshot eyes. Get drunk and fight every night. Idolize Bradley, belittle women's rights. Homophobic, racist, and don't give a fucking hey. Do you think you can drive a bigger truck? So wear your baseball cap to decide to let everyone know that you're a nice guy. So cool, we're so impressed. Lots of chicks and a barrel chest. Cause you're a real man. Punch for punch, gonna piss in your face while you're passed out drunk. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. He's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. She's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planets. I just can't understand it. Conquer divine by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. I don't wanna hear it. Read into the lyrics, cause everybody gets their just desserts. As long as you remember that nice guys finish Mr. Whitebeard, you're next on the list. Such a nice guy who speaks through his fists. Prick with a penchant for messing with heads. A broken nose for dinner and breakfast in bed. Alcoholic, paranoid, and suicidal too. But you'll probably kill her before she gets away from you. She lives in a pool, let it cry. All your friends say that you're a nice guy. Have a drink, this one's on me. Look, you're doing fine, losing to your disease. Comatose, I'll pack your bags. Bury you with my castrated gag. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. We're all nice guys, but all of you are assholes. He's a nice guy, she's a nice guy. Hey, Tom Bo's a nice guy. All of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planet. The polygammatic. Put a body by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, jerk off. I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, jerk off. Read into the lyrics. So let the fudgies will quench your thirst. As long as you remember that nice guys finish first.
I always wonder what he was going to say there after "suck my." It's confusing. I wish Walter would have finished his sentence there. Anyway, welcome to the Plex, everybody. We do the show live on Sunday, 7 p.m. Pacific, here on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/Echoplex Media. If you'd like to support this project, you can do that at patreon.com/Echoplex or at eplex.store. I prefer the latter because there's also merch there. You should check out our holiday merch. The Meaty Wench did all the holiday merch this year, and she did a fan-fucking-tastic job on it. Also, I don't know, fucking give us money here on Twitch. If you're watching live, you know how the monetization works here. And yeah, I'm producer Dave. You can find me on Blue Sky at Plex-Dave, and this is what the people want, I guess.
I don't hate the cops. There's a person inside when the truncheon stops. Oh, don't hate the cops. Oh, when the raiders come, who will protect the shops? Donate the cops. They're a sensitive bunch if you don't stop throwing your rocks. Snap, crackle, pop is the sound of a taser. Your buddy drops. Donate the cops. Donate the cops. Donate the cops. Donate the cops. Thank your local police, 'cause they don't do nothing wrong. Thank your local police. Got rid of the corruption and the racism is gone. They've been keeping the peace, keeping homeless folks out of the parks and malls. Got a cure for your social disease. Follow the law, don't hate the cops. 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 Put your hands above your head to show you're not afraid. I'm the fearless judge that your skin color's gonna get. And if you die before the sun comes up, the paperwork will take forever. Well, it might have worked out a little bit better if you didn't hate the cops. 'Cause they don't do nothing wrong. Donate the cops. You can't blame them for just doing their job. Donate the cops. Well, you gotta wonder, how much would it cost for you to be shot at and stabbed at by maniacs and drunks? Donate the cops. 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 Don't hate the cops, don't hate the cops. Don't hate the cops, don't hate the cops.
So I wasn't sure where to put this, so I put it first. Y'all remember the fucking ShamWow guy? Also famously of Slap Chop fame. If you remember, he said, "You're gonna love my nuts." Remember this guy? Well, he's running for Congress, and it's not great. Not super great. Also, not giving audio. If you're listening on the podcast and we're wondering, this show is in fact live. Technical difficulties and all.
The woke machine is targeting our children, and I want to protect our children before they get into college, because once they're in college, they're woked out. You can't turn them back. Even Charlie Kirk had a hard time with that. So I want to put like video surveillance cameras in classrooms, because the parent is like, raising their children at 5 years old, and he's just giving it to a government worker at school, and then who knows what's going to happen? They're making these kids blue-haired commies instead of red-blooded Americans. The woke.
What the fuck? Oh man, that's like I think he's just reading that shit on off of like a script, right? Like there's like it sounded so like a performance that he was putting on there. I mean, I don't fucking have any kind of like love or whatever for the fucking Slap Chop or ShamWow guy or whatever, but what? He didn't even sound like he cared. Right? He just sounded like he's like, oh, they're just wokeified. They're super wokeified by the time they get to college. You're just giving them to a government worker. He was not a very passionate advocate for the position that he's taking there. And I don't know what district he's running in. But this, I don't know, could get interesting. We'll keep an eye on Vince, the Slap Chop / ShamWow guy during this coming election cycle. So, and more, the beginning of the show's a little ridiculous this week. Don't worry, it gets terrifying as it goes on. Donald Trump apparently did win a peace prize, everyone.
Please welcome the very first winner of the FIFA Peace Prize, the 45th and 47th President of the United States of America, Mr. Donald J. Trump. Please. Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, this is your prize. This is your Peace Prize. There is also a beautiful medal for you that you can wear everywhere you want to go.
What the fuck?
Right now.
Okay, let me hold. Fantastic.
Dude, you're supposed to let that guy put the medal on you.
Excellent.
What a fucking joke. Oh my fucking God. I can't believe that they were like, oh, this is probably fucking Trump's idea. He's like, they weren't giving me the Nobel Peace Prize because they're all fucking woke and shit. He's like, since you've been kissing my ass so much, FIFA guy, why don't you give me a peace prize? He's like, make it gold. He's like, it has to be like gold. He's like, solid gold, and it has to be like obscene ugly, and I'll put it in a room with all of my other gold. So this week it was we learned a little. I think it was last week we learned that there was a Venezuelan boat that was struck with a bomb or something, and then like the survivors were then murdered afterward, like the ones who didn't get murdered initially in the first murder. Dropping a bomb on a boat that we didn't know anything about. They did it again. They dropped another bomb on the boat. It's double tap. You're not supposed to do that, right? Obviously, like, war is bad, but like, stupid gentleman rules of war or whatever. After you blow up somebody's boat, you're not supposed to then pick them all fucking off in the water. It takes a special kind of fucking monster to do that. And actually, we don't know what we're talking about, folks. It's called the fog of war, and Pete Hegseth is here to explain that to you.
We're proud to do it.
So you didn't see any survivors, to be clear, after that first strike? You personally?
I did not personally see survivors, but I stand, because the thing was on fire. It was exploded and fire and smoke. You can't see anything. You got digital. This is called the fog of war. This is what you in the press don't understand. You sit in your air-conditioned offices or up on Capitol Hill and you nitpick and you plant fake stories in the Washington Post about kill everybody, phrases on anonymous sources not based in anything, not based in any truth at all. And then you want to throw out really irresponsible terms about American heroes, about the judgment that they made. I wrote a whole book on this topic because of what politicians and the press does to warfighters.
So the fog of war is metaphorical. It doesn't mean smoke after you blow something up. The fog of war is metaphorical. It means like the information space is foggy, hard to assess in the midst of battle. It doesn't literally mean that there's just smoke everywhere. This guy's an idiot. Oh my God. Oh fuck. Oh, these people are so stupid. But did you know we're gonna find out actually this is what governing looks like, folks. What governing looks like. It's the fog of war, and this is how you govern, actually.
Critical for any of these people. I don't care if they're Democrats or not, but are they super critical of President Obama when he did the same thing? The fact is that for the most part, to my knowledge, since I've really been alive, which has been, for 36 years, there's been many presidents who have used this authority and it hasn't been a big deal. I do understand, though, that it might be shocking for people to see footage of narco-terrorists being blown out of the water, but I would argue that maybe those people need to go into inner city Chicago, or maybe they need to check out Skid Row and see what happens when you have people injecting themselves with drugs, or see what happens to the families in this country that have to deal with children that are ODing. So I have no sympathy for those people that are choosing to traffic drugs into this country, and I definitely don't have any sympathy for the fact that these terrorist networks are responsible for destabilizing and causing mass atrocities in part of these countries in South America, of which I've traveled to. I have seen the mass graves and the footage of mass graves that are responsible and funded largely by these terrorist networks. So no, I don't have sympathy. This is called governing, and we are going to do what we need to do to keep the American people safe.
This is fucking absurd. There's these boats are like, we don't know where the boats are going. We don't know what the fuck's on them. They're just getting blown up because they're off the coast of Venezuela. And I guess that's just what the fucking government wants to do. Like I say, every fucking week, The drugs that get into this country come in through ports of entry, through like basically legal methods. I mean, it's illegal to traffic drugs into this country, but they come in like shipping containers on fucking airplanes and shit. They're not like driving some boat from fucking Venezuela and just fucking pulling up on the fucking coast of Florida or something, being like, hey, everybody, here's your cocaine. Like, this is not how this works. This is not how this works. These people need to watch season 2 of The Wire. Everybody, the ground war is going to start soon. Are you not excited? Are you excited? I am excited. I'm actually not excited, but the ground war is starting soon. So
I think you're going to find that there's a very receptive ear to doing exactly what they're doing, taking out those boats. And very soon we're going to start doing it on land too, because we know every route, we know every house, we know where they manufacture this crap, we know where they put it all together. And I think you're going to see it very soon on land also. Yeah, please.
So to be clear, you support...
So we know all the routes. We know where they're manufacturing this crap. Does he mean cocaine? Because I thought this was all about fentanyl. They're not manufacturing fucking fentanyl in Venezuela, right? If there is any coming in from Venezuela, it's being trafficked through Venezuela, probably from China. But why would they do that? Because you just hide it in a fucking shipping container. What the fuck? Why are these people? They know this. Like, people have told Donald Trump that the drugs are all coming in through the ports of entry, not on a fucking boat from Venezuela. He just wants to fucking blow up boats, right? This isn't some kind of mystery here. Homeboy just wants to blow up the fucking boats. He thinks it's cool or whatever. So here's Megyn Kelly talking about her war crime fantasies. She's got some fantasies, and so does her guest, I suppose.
So I really do kind of not only want to see them killed in the water, whether they're on the boat or in the water, but I'd really like to see them suffer. I would like Trump and Hegseth to make it last a long time so that they lose a limb and bleed out a little. Like, I'm really having a difficult time ginning up sympathy for these guys who 10 seconds earlier almost got taken out by the initial bomb, but because they managed to get ejected, a little too soon, had to be taken out in the water. I realize legally it may make a difference, but truly, Mark, this is a tough case to really gin up the sympathies of the American people.
Yeah. What the fuck? She's like, actually, what we need to do is find a way to torture them. She's like, death from the sky, based on shaky intelligence on a boat that certainly isn't coming to the United States, but that we're saying is trafficking drugs to the United States. That's not enough for me. What we need to do is we need to find a way to maybe chop off their hand or something from the sky so that they like bleed and maybe get gangrene or something. Like, oh my God. She's like, could we make this more painful? Can we do this more slowly? Are there rounds that are lethal, but they, take a while to kill a motherfucker? Like, oh my God, I hate these people. The absolute fucking bloodlust. And it's this country does it every time. Like, every time there's some kind of American plane somewhere dropping some bombs on some fucking poor people, we faction off into two kinds of people. The kinds of people who are like, oh, that's horrible. Why are we doing that? And the kinds of people who are like, make them hurt. Is there a way to make this more painful? Is there a way to make this more horrible for everyone involved? And then we wonder why, like, people who get sent off to these fucking pointless errands by our government come back all fucking traumatized and shit and end up like addicted to the very drugs that in this case, I suppose we were ostensibly trying to stop from coming into this country. It's because they're fucking human beings, right? These people, they're young men mostly that join the military. These people that are all like, we need to reach out to and help the young men. Well, I don't know. Stop sending fucking young men over to places to fucking indiscriminately kill people. Maybe that'll help with a fucking mental health crisis among young men. You ever thought about that shit? No, actually, no. So don't worry, though. Blowing up the boats has saved hundreds of thousands of American lives, I guess.
Pam, make sure she's fighting for us in court so that we can get up every day and be bold. We're going to hire our 10,000th ICE officer will be on the job within 10 days. So we have hired 10,000. We've had hundreds of thousands of applications.
This is insane. This is all insane. This is like, I have no idea why, like, just the average person is going along with this. I mean, Megyn Kelly, like, celebrating, all of it basically. It is because she's bloodthirsty and horrible and stuff. But I don't understand how there's like a lot of normal people that just think this is okay. So here's Jesse Waters. So on one hand, this is all a hoax. So that's what's important here. This is all a hoax.
The liberal media is going hog wild over the Coke boat hoax, the cartel cruiser chock full of poison in the Caribbean Sea that our military smoked on September 2nd and then double tapped as 2 alleged narco-terrorists clung to the wreckage. The Washington Post accused the Secretary of War of committing war crimes. Hegseth order on first Caribbean boat strike, officials say, kill them all. But that narrative getting lit up by the New York Times, who reported Hegseth ordered a lethal attack, but not the killing of survivors, officials say. The secretary was at Trump's cabinet meeting defending the strikes, saying he watched the first one, but then dipped out for meetings during the second.
We've only just begun striking narco boats and putting narco terrorists at the bottom of the ocean because they've been poisoning the American people.
And the drugs coming in through the sea by sea are down 91%. And I don't know who the 9% is.
I'm not sure either, sir.
But down 91% by sea.
We've had a bit of a pause because it's hard to find boats to strike right now, which is the entire point, right? Deterrence has to matter, not arrest and hand over and then do it again.
So you didn't see any survivors, to be clear, after that first strike?
I did not personally see survivors, but I stand, because the thing was on fire. It was exploded and fire, smoke, you can't see anything, you got digital. This is called the fog of war.
Oh, here it is again, the same clip. This is the fog of war, folks. This guy doesn't know what the fuck the fog of war means. I already said that, but he has no idea what the fuck the fog of war is.
Hang on. Senator Mark Kelly says Pete is a toy soldier.
I am not going to be silenced by this president or the people around him. There needs to be an investigation. He runs around on a stage like he's a 12-year-old playing Army. And it is ridiculous. It is embarrassing.
But any new facts be damned. The media and the Democrats have made up their mind. Pete is a war criminal.
Well, he is. If you notice when he was saying, "Oh, I left the room before this alleged second strike or whatever," so I guess he has like some kind of plausible deniability on the double tap, which it's a fucking war crime. Like after you've blown up somebody's boat, like it's a fucking war crime to like then go in and take out all the survivors. So he's basically building in some plausible deniability for it, I suppose. But fucking, I don't know, the fucking shit should roll uphill, but it never does. Here, actually, so that was all a hoax. But even if it's not, according to Brian Kilmeade now, either you're pro drug dealing, which I don't know what kind of drugs is it. If you're against, blowing these boats up indiscriminately, so it's a dichotomy here. You're either with us or you're against us. This is how every fucking military conflict that the United States starts and engages in, it always ends up like this. You're either with us or against us, and there's no room for any doubt or any nuance or whatever. You hate the troops and all this shit.
Over the last 10 years, almost 500,000 Americans have died because of fentanyl. So this is a war. It's a war that the Chinese subsidize. And there's narco-terrorist states that are driving it into the country. So if you were the president and you were told...
I'm just telling you, that boat ain't getting to know the United States of America from fucking Venezuela. Dude, they have a range of like a couple 100 miles.
Chemical weapons are coming in to kill Americans. What would you do? And I think that's the problem. They're not looking at the effects on the American people. It's all about politics, and they're crucifying a great admiral and a great organization over it.
I think he came out looking fine for any clear-thinking person who understands what politics is, and I think it's pretty clear too. It's either you're pro-drug dealers, drugs going throughout Europe and throughout this country, or you're for taking out those boats. Meanwhile, I think it's really hypocritical for anyone who didn't say a word when President Obama was president not to speak up, and that was chronicled in Mark Thiessen's column in the Washington.
I have a question: is hypocritical a word? I think it would be hypocritical. Because I think he tried to like do a portmanteau of hypocrisy and apocryphal.
He says there's nothing unlawful about hitting a military target multiple times to make sure it's been eliminated. President Obama did it all the time. Indeed, in targeting cartels, it is designated as foreign terrorist organizations. The Trump administration appears to be closely following the playbook pioneered by President Obama. We remember multiple times the so-called double taps took place. He blew up a wedding. So this happened over and over again. Human Rights Watch had a problem with it. Amnesty International had a problem with it. But no Democrat or Republican was calling out the president. And I think rightfully so. What's the difference?
Wait, what?
I don't think there is a difference. And quite frankly, as you mentioned, this is...
You're not supposed to do that. It doesn't matter who the fuck the president is. Fuck President Obama for ordering and overseeing that.
What happened out there in the water?
They also went after another boat yesterday, so I don't think they're going to stop. In the big picture, Admiral, tell me how you see this ending. We have a lot of assets in the region, 15,000 servicemen and women standing off the coast of Venezuela, some on the aircraft carrier Gerald Ford. How do you see this ending?
Well, for the first time, somebody is doing something about the crisis here in America, the deaths. Like I said, almost 500,000 Americans that have been killed over the last 10 years. I thank God, and we need to continue it until it stops. And I think the president is doing the right thing for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, I think it's just the beginning too.
This is all ridiculous. I mean, I don't know what's on these boats. I fucking don't think that anybody can know what's on any given boat at any given time. It's hard to tell. I just think that I think that this is such a dumb way to try to deal with this. Even it's well known, it's well established that drugs that come into this country illegally are not coming in on fucking speedboats. They're coming in on the fucking container ships, sometimes on aircraft. They're just hidden in other shipments of other things. That's how smuggling always works. It's way easier, right? You're not putting your people in harm's way. So even if the drug cartel leaders don't give a fuck about the people who work for them, you eventually run out of people if they keep getting bombed. So I don't understand why this effort is why this is being done versus dealing with the ports of entry and trying to beef up security and searches there. Mind you, if we're talking about cocaine, I think cocaine should be legal and regulated and we get rid of this problem entirely. But that's just my personal opinion as someone who's had a good time in the past having used cocaine. So on Newsmax of all places, we've got Andrew Napolitano has a different view than most of the right wingers on this.
Judge Andrew Napolitano is joining us with this senior judicial analyst. Again, the White House is very clear that they were acting within the scope of the law. The orders were given to take out these boats, and this continues on to their effort to stop drug trafficking here in the States. It does get a little murky of what happened in terms of the orders, who carried what, who said what. Talk to us about that.
Well, I wish the White House would reveal to us the laws on which the president is relying. He says he has an opinion from the Justice Department, but neither the Justice Department or the White House will offer it for public scrutiny. And it gives me no pleasure to say what I'm about to say because I worked with Pete Hegseth for 7 or 8 years at Fox News. This is an act of a war crime, ordering survivors who the law requires be rescued instead to be murdered. There's absolutely no legal basis for it. Everybody along the line who did it, from the Secretary of Defense to the Admiral to the people who actually pulled the trigger, should be prosecuted for a war crime for killing these 2 people.
And who would bring that prosecution forward?
Military would bring the, because they're all active duty military. Not the Secretary of Defense, but everybody else would be subject to a court martial. I don't know where this is going to go. Republicans in the Congress seem to be as exacerbated by it as the Democrats do. I think it's getting beyond politics now. The killing is out of hand. And this last one, in which Pete Hegseth first denied that he gave the order, and then the White House said he did give the order, and then the White House said it was in self-defense. Self-defense. You got two people in the ocean clinging to a burning boat to stay alive, and they're going to be killed for self-defense? That doesn't make any sense.
For the viewers that may not know about that part, I have it for them. This is the White House press secretary talking about this being conducted in self-defense. Watch.
The strike conducted on September 2nd was conducted in self-defense to protect Americans in vital United States interests. The strike was conducted in international waters and in accordance with the law of armed conflict.
Well, the law of armed conflict says survivors have to be rescued. They can't be killed. That's very clear. It's in the Uniform Code of Military Justice, and it's in federal law. So we'll see where this goes. I think that both houses of Congress are going to investigate it.
She goes on to say this. I just wanted to read this quote. The president has made it quite clear that if narco-terrorists are again trafficking illegal drugs towards the United States, he, meaning the president, has the authority to kill them. That is what this administration is doing, end quote. Killing 11 in that moment. So you're saying that's not a good defense. This is a war crime. That from you.
Correct. Correct. Even Congressman...
They're heavy words.
Very heavy words, which is why I prefaced it by saying it gives me no pleasure to do it. I'm accusing them of crimes that could incarcerate them or even execute them if this stuff was enforced to the hilt. I wish it hadn't happened, and I wish I didn't have to say it, but I have to be intellectually honest about what I'm observing here.
You don't see any other side that, because you're very well versed in the law. We know that. You don't see any other side of argument for the administration other than a war crime is committed. There is no other avenue to look at this.
Look, narco-terrorist is not a legal term. It's a political term, and using that political term does not justify.
But if they're labeled terrorists by the administration, doesn't that indeed indicate that they are?
No. Only if they're engaged in violence can the military kill them. The military can't
But
legally.
it seems violent if they're coming here with drugs that could kill Americans. Is that not so?
Well, they're 1,500 miles from the United States in a speedboat with a 50-mile distance. It's inconceivable it could reach the United States.
I thought those boats had a 200-mile range. Apparently, I don't know. Maybe I'm right and Judge Andrew Napolitano is wrong or whatever. But those boats aren't coming to the. I mean, who knows what's on them? And they're not coming to the United States. This is all fucked up. So this Napolitano guy, he's like a right-wing ghoul, and I don't agree with his politics. But on stuff like this, on foreign policy stuff, and on like a lot of civil liberties stuff as it pertains to the law, he's a former judge, and I think at one point he was I think he started his career in the public defender's office. And he's generally, even though I hate his politics, he's generally pretty good on this stuff. He doesn't like sway from like his convictions about like people's, right to, due process. And when it's come to the wars that he's commented on, both the UCMJ and like international like treaties and war crimes and stuff, he's always been pretty consistent on it, which is surprising. So I don't know if you know this, the drug trafficking is bad unless Donald Trump likes somebody and they were convicted of drug trafficking, then they get a pardon.
Can you square for us, as people are questioning the objectives of what the administration is doing here? The president pardoned the former Honduran president who was convicted of helping traffic hundreds of thousands of kilos of cocaine toward the U.S. for millions of dollars in bribes. He was going through a 45-year sentence, had just begun it, and the president pardoned him last night. Can you square that for us as you were talking about this objective of fighting this scourge of drugs?
Well, honestly, I don't know the specific details of this case and what happened. But I'm a firm believer, if you are selling drugs or smuggling drugs into the United States, you need to pay a very, very heavy price. And my primary concern, and I will never apologize for, is protecting American citizens. And I know that Donald Trump is doing that too, but in fact, no, I can't. Because I don't know the details.
Okay. I would love to speak with you about the details, and there aren't too many of them. But I understand I'm being told that you have to go vote, so I want to let you go take care of that. Unfortunately, that's sort of gotten in the way of our conversation here. But Congressman Van Orden, thank you so much for being with us. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome, ma'am. You have a wonderful day, and God bless you and your viewers.
You too.
So this is wild because it flies in the face, but this guy that went on the news just gets to be like, oh, I don't know anything about that. He doesn't get to say, well, it seems hypocritical, or is apocryphal, as the fucking Fox News guy said. He just gets to go on there. I don't know. I don't actually know the details. So they just get to pretend they don't know shit. Like when it comes to this, because like, of course, like this guy, I don't know if like people he is that this former Honduran president is associated with are cozy with the Trump people, or if there's something else going on here. But like this doesn't, it's just like drug trafficking is bad unless you're my homie and you're doing it, and then it's fine. I mean, I thought only the CIA got to traffic drugs and get away with it. I guess I was wrong about that. Up next, Donald Trump does not like Somali immigrants, and he has one in particular that he does not approve of, if you can imagine that.
One that's in jail.
Mr. President, thank you. The mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, is saying that he's actually proud to have the largest Somali community in the country, and his police chief.
Well, then he's a fool.
Well, his police chief is also
I
saying
wouldn't be proud to have the largest Somalian. Look at their nation. Look how bad their nation is. It's not even a nation. It's just people walking around killing each other. Look, these Somalians have taken billions of dollars out of our country. They've taken billions and billions of dollars. They have a representative, Ilhan Omar, who they say married her brother. It's a fraud. She tries to deny it now, but you can't really deny it because, it just happened.
Wait, who's they? Do you mean Laura Loomer and fucking Jacob Wall? Is that who they is? That's who said that? Like, you're talking about Laura Loomer and Jacob Wall.
She shouldn't be allowed to be a congresswoman, and I'm sure people are looking at that. And she should be thrown the hell out of our country. And most of those people, they have destroyed Minnesota, okay? Minnesota, you have an incompetent governor. You have a crooked governor. He's crooked as hell, but he's incompetent. Walsh he should be ashamed. That beautiful land, that beautiful state, it's a hellhole right now. And the Somalians should be out of here. They've destroyed our country. And all they do is complain, complain, complain. You have her. She's always talking about the Constitution provides me with... go back to your own country and figure out your Constitution. All she does.
What the fuck?
About this country. Without this country, she would not be in very good shape. She probably wouldn't be alive right now. So Somalia is considered by many to be the worst country on earth. I don't know. I haven't been there. I won't be there anytime soon. I hope.
I think we should just send him there. Fuck it. Tell everybody there what he be saying about him, and just send him there.
But what the Somalian people have done to Minnesota is not even believable. It's not even believable. And a lot of it starts with the governor. A lot of it starts with Barack Hussein Obama, because that's when people started coming in. And
yes, famously, there was no immigration before Barack Obama.
You have to have people come in that are going to love our country, cherish our country. They want to kiss our country goodnight. They talk about our country. We want them to pray for our country. This is not the people living in Minnesota. And she's a disaster. She should not be, and her friends shouldn't be allowed. Frankly, they shouldn't even be allowed to be congresspeople. Okay? They shouldn't even be allowed to be congresspeople, because they don't represent the interests of our country. Anybody else?
The automakers spent billions on meeting the Biden EV rules.
Okay, so I don't know if he means that you should have to be born in the United States to be a congressperson, or I just think he means that you probably you shouldn't be able to be Somali, or that you shouldn't be able to be, I don't know, black or something. And it seems to me that maybe Minneapolis is like on this guy's list. It's starting to sound like that to me. But here's Brian Kilmeade. Wait, what? There's a wrong link here. Hold on a sec. Here, I'm sorry. This is Jesse Waters. This is some Scandinavian, or some Minnesotans have deep Scandinavian roots, everybody. And I don't, that just means white, right?
The Congresswoman's got a lot to say about the president, but what about her own governor?
State employees in Minnesota are saying they're worried about his handling of fraud and that he's to blame for the amount of fraud during COVID, about $1 billion.
And you really believe that?
Well, that's the latest figures that have been released.
You believe state employees are actually saying something?
Some DHS employees, yes, in Minnesota.
I wouldn't believe everything I read online.
Tampon's under federal investigation, so he's bulking up for his prison stint.
Just called him Tampon?
I got the pork sausage on
cheese.
Pork sausage, egg and cheese.
On focaccia.
On focaccia.
Why do they do this? Like, what? The man is eating a breakfast sandwich. Like, what? They're like, oh, we got him. He's having a fucking breakfast sandwich. Oh, got him. Boys, we got him. It's over for him. He's eating a breakfast sandwich.
10 out of 10.
Waltz is chomping on sausage while Somalis are taking a bite out of us. Minnesota wasn't always like this. They have deep Scandinavian roots. They say that's why they're so happy and generous. But then we imported thousands from the second most corrupt country in the world, Somalia. And they took advantage. People used to know their neighbors, and now you can't even talk to them.
What's it like being a Muslim here in the United States?
I'm not speaking English, only one Somali language.
What does it mean to you to be a part of Islam?
I don't know, I'm not speaking English.
Can I ask any of you guys some questions?
No. Dude, these people, you're like, oh, they're idiots, but your microphone and all, you have like a Fox News. These people know what the fuck Fox News is. I think these people are just like, they see the logo like on the microphone and on like some of the equipment, and they're like, nah. I think that's what's going on here. These people, they know what the fuck Fox News is.
No. Speak English?
English, no. Minnesota gave the Somalis bucket loads of welfare, but that wasn't enough. They stole $1 billion more. And when they got caught, they tried bribing jurors. Democrats didn't lay a finger on them because of racial blackmail. So the Somalis ran their racket. Rob us, spend it on luxury apartments and cars, fund some terrorists, then pump thousands into the campaign war chests of Ilhan Omar, the AG, Keith.
Thousands of dollars into the campaign of a fucking U.S. congressperson. Thousands of dollars. Get the entire fuck out of here. Thousands.
Fry. Now all those Democrats are playing the race card too. They say Somalis are the backbone of the community. But the numbers don't back that up. 60% of them are poor. 80% don't even have a high school diploma.
Good. Now do whites in Appalachia. Like both groups of people are human beings with dignity, who deserve to be treated with dignity and some measure of respect, but they don't do this. If it's like white folks in Appalachia who over half of them are in poverty and like 3/4 of them don't have a high school diploma or whatever, they're the salt of the earth.
Unemployment is in the double digits, and 1/3 are on food stamps. And as you've heard, a lot of them can't speak English. This is a drain on the system. And federal immigration law says we can deny an immigrant residency if they're a public charge, meaning if they're going to rely on government benefits. Bye-bye.
Yep. It seems to me that that's next. They're going to Minneapolis and just going to start fucking rounding up Somalis in Minneapolis. I'm starting to think that's what we're looking at here. And this is Will Kane from Fox News. We saw him a little bit earlier. He's going to remind us that all cultures aren't the same, which sounds awfully familiar, right? This sounds like this guy sounds like he should be on the old Wednesday show, The Intellectual Dollar Tree. He's going to sound an awful lot like fucking Sam Harris right here. But Sam Harris is a good lib and an atheist, so, or whatever. But I'm telling you, this is going to be pulled straight from like Sam Harris rant about culture and probably Islam.
Minnesota and their Somali community as ICE is zeroing in on the Twin Cities.
They contribute nothing. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you. Okay? Somebody would say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country is no good for a reason. These are people that do nothing but complain. They complain. And from where they came from, they got nothing. But when they come from hell and they complain and do nothing but we don't want them in our country. Let them go back to
what did they bleep out
and fix it.
You know, I'm sure there are.
Did they bleep out the word bitch? Did he say all they do is bitch? Did Fox News bitch out and bleep out the word bitch? Show some respect for the fucking president and don't bleep him out.
Law-abiding, upstanding citizens and contributors from the Somali community here in the United States. But that doesn't mean we can't use our judgment, our wisdom, in analyzing the various contributions of communities and cultures. We're not going to pretend here that all cultures are of equal value or are the same. No one really believes that. No one makes individual choices on a day-to-day basis that reveals they think all cultures are the same, where they choose to live, what they choose to eat, who they choose to socialize with. It's mostly a virtue signal, and that's what you get from most politicians when it comes to this very serious conversation that needs to be had about our culture here in America. You normally get from politicians just pandering, just nonsense, just stuff like this from Minnesota's mayor.
That's not American. That's not what we are about. And we're going to do right by every single person in our cities. And so, to our Somali community, Daman Shabka, Somalied Kunul, Minnesota, Garahan, Minneapolis, Waan, Kuji Janilahai, Waan, Ku Gereb, Taganahan.
A little cringe, but the dude seems to mean well. And oh, what a good looking man. My God.
Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey. I would be curious, I don't know Somali, if that's a little bit like Jill Biden saying she likes tacos. I don't know, because it's in Somali. I speak
Everybody likes tacos.
English because I live in America. And that's the point.
Wait, what? No, you speak only English because you're uncultured and stupid. My Spanish is getting worse and worse by the day because I don't use it. But I was at one point almost fluent, and people in other countries are actually, they speak more than one language. You bragging about only speaking one language isn't the flex that you think it is, Will Kane.
This is a country with a culture, and we have a right to ask whether or not all cultures are compatible with the culture of America. And the current fraud scandal in Minnesota is a real big red flag. That is if you believe the data and the investigation and the fraud. And of course, some will telling you, don't believe it. Don't believe your lying eyes. And you can guess who that might be. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar.
State employees in Minnesota are saying they're worried about his handling of fraud and that he's to blame for the amount of fraud during COVID, about $1 billion.
And you really believe that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, that's why you have, like, I don't know if they're going to get a fair trial or whatever, but the fact that something's being investigated doesn't mean that it's happening. I don't know enough about it. I haven't heard much about it, but I'm like, skeptical. We'll see. Because $1 billion is kind of a lot of money. And like, depending on what they're saying the fraud is, I'm just like highly skeptical here. I don't know what they're saying happened. It's just convenient that it's like right around $1 billion. It's a weird number. Up next, if you could imagine this. Oh, the Fox Chiron says, gear up for an icy winter, Minnesota. So like, this fucking asshole is going on the Laura Ingraham show, and he's gonna probably start manufacturing consent for like the takeover of Minneapolis.
When do you expect ICE to make its presence really known in the Twin Cities, Tom? Approximately.
I can't forecast that. I don't want to. I don't want to give up operations, but I can tell you that, Secretary Noem's all over it. I know ICE and CBP and other federal agencies, the FBI, DEA, ATF. President Trump's been a genius on this. He brings all the government to these operations. So if we arrest an alien with drugs, you got the DEA right there, can prosecute the case before we deport him. If you get him with a gun, you got ATF right there to prosecute the case before we deport him. But I can tell you, focus is there. It's coming. But I don't want to give a lot. I can't tell you how many people on the ground now, how many people are going to be on the ground. I'll leave that to the Secretary of Homeland Security. But focus is on those Twin Cities more because of the criminal activities been uncovered by DOJ and DHS.
Dude, that guy's hella dry drunk. That dude, that dude fucking, I was like looking for it last week, the term I was like, that dude's hella dry drunk. it's like he's still drunk off of something he quit drinking 15 years ago or something like that. It's fucking wild. I don't know, man. Minneapolis, during the protests in 2020, they burned down the fucking police station. They burned down the cop shop there. So Minneapolis kind of doesn't play, and I think it's going to be a little different than even Chicago if they go into Minneapolis. But it's funny that they've sort of stopped talking about like Oakland and San Francisco. It's interesting, and I think that it's easier for them to marshal resources on the East Coast or in the eastern half of the country, just because it's closer to DC. But that's just my guess here. Anyway, here's more from that interview.
ICE, and then accuse them of kidnapping if they actually start arresting illegals when they're wearing masks. Check this out.
Folks that are masked, that they're not sure if they're law enforcement, that they may be kidnapping people. Like, we have had those reports. I want to be clear to the community. The community should know that if you see something like that is legitimate, that you don't know if someone is law enforcement, you should call 911.
Yeah, so call 911 on law enforcement. That's a police officer.
It's just ridiculous.
Dude, that motherfucker, you're just lying about what he said. I'm sure the Minneapolis fucking police chief isn't like some great dude or whatever, but he didn't say that. You just straight up just lied about what you just played. Just straight up lying. She said, call 911 on law enforcement. The dude said, if you see people that you can't determine whether or not they're law enforcement, they could very well just be kidnapping somebody, which is why, law enforcement has many faults. Fuck law enforcement in the United States, but you can generally tell who the fucking pigs are. And that's so that people don't pretend to be the pigs and go kidnap your fucking brother or something.
That kidnapping is not kidnapping. We're enforcing the laws of this country. Laws that were passed by Congress, were appropriated with funding to enforce those laws. They were signed by a president. So it's shameful on any law enforcement officer to compare us to a bad guy and kidnappers. Bottom line is, when ICE or Border Patrol shows up, yeah, they'll have gear on, and they may be wearing masks to protect their, the doxing themselves and their spouses and their children. But they got clear identification. It tells you if they're Border Patrol or ICE. So
yeah, but Tom, I'm sorry, it's worse than that. Because that police chief, after everything Minneapolis has endured since Floyd, that police chief is saying, we're not cooperating with ICE. So effectively, they're impeding ICE's operation in the city. If, in a way, you could argue that if they're not cooperating by not taking action to back up ICE. But they're saying, we're not working with you. Doesn't matter what you uncover, I guess.
Look, I'll say the same thing I said to other chiefs of police in sanctuary cities. Shame on you. I mean, your number one responsibility is the safety and security of your communities. And ICE is targeting criminals. Criminals. So for you not to partner with ICE to make your community safer is shameful. He ought to put his badge in the desk drawer and walk away, because he stopped being a cop, become a politician. If a true law enforcement official would work with ICE, okay, look, I don't want to be an immigration officer. I'll leave that to you guys. But when we have an illegal alien public safety threat in the community, I want to be shoulder to shoulder with you. I want to help you make my community safer, because the chief of police, that's my number one responsibility. If he wants to watch, stand aside, do it. But if you cross that line, Pam Bondi and her U.S. attorneys are waiting to prosecute anybody that impedes law enforcement, ICE law enforcement, Border Patrol law enforcement in doing their job. Zero tolerance for impeding ICE in their operations.
I can't even believe this is actually the Twin Cities, how it's being run and how the people have voted for this. Look, you got to save yourselves, people. Tom.
What the fuck? So if you're not getting like the police chiefs around the country to bend the knee to the fucking goon squad, then the goon squad is especially goon-like, because the fucking police around this country generally bend the knee to the goon squad. Like, this is amazing. This is fucking amazing. And not cooperating with the Border Patrol and ICE goons isn't impeding their operations. Up next, this is I don't know if you know this, 1/6 of Americans weren't born in America. This is terrifying to this fucking lady here.
And it's pretty staggering when you take a step back and you realize that today, 1 in 6 people here in the United States is foreign born. 1 in 6. That, quite frankly, is not sustainable to maintain a culture that we are known for here in the United States.
But no, the 1/6 of people not being born here is the culture that we're known for. Like, what the fuck? That's like the good part of America, to the extent that we could fucking say that that's the good thing about. That's why everybody fucking used to love America.
People who, instead of assimilating into our culture, are opting to basically import their culture. Many cases, that culture is one of fraud and schemes and scams and violence. You erode the underfoot of what America is all about. And so
I don't like the word assimilate. I think the word assimilate is a bad way to talk about this. Obviously, I like talking about integrating, right? I like talking about integrating into your community, not assimilating to American culture. Because who the fuck, that lady, I think she needs to assimilate to American culture. Again, the reason people fucking, for example, when people think of places they want to go in the United States, they're thinking about San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York. And the reason they want to go there is because these are like diverse places with lots of little different communities. There's like Little Italy and fucking Chinatown and Koreatown and all these different like little enclaves where there's people of all different kinds of cultures that have brought their food, their some of their clothing, their music, like parts of their culture have been like integrated into these cities in the United States, and that's why these are great cities. And that's the good thing about America. That's the good thing about America. Here's Dan Bongino talking about Trump and crime, but can't even really get the word crime out.
Drives around these. What do you think he's doing this for? You think he's doing it to get reelected? You think he's doing it for politics? These are blue cities. He hates crime. He can't. It drives him crazy, and he wants it solved. And if Cash and I are committed to doing it.
Well, I'm grateful, and I know many other Americans are grateful to the team and everybody that you mentioned. Dan,
these are blue cities. He hates. Can't even get the word out. Dude, he's doing this because these people in the cities didn't vote for him. He's a vengeful asshole, and he's racist, and he told everybody that he was going to deport a bunch of people. He told everybody during the campaign what he wanted to do was deport a bunch of people. Remember a couple of weeks ago, I think it might have been last week, we ran a clip of little tiny dancer Ben Shapiro, and he was like, I didn't believe him when he said it, that he wanted to do that. I thought he was just doing hyperbole for the election. Anyway, up next, we got... did you know that the FBI, not previously catching the person who planted or allegedly planted a pipe bomb at J6, was the FBI did that on purpose? They just didn't want to catch that person. That's according to Kash Patel on the Megyn Kelly Show.
It's crazy. It's incredible to think about. And then on top of it, according to the affidavit, you line all that up with the scanners that have his license plate getting him to the location. I mean, that's a cherry on top of the sundae when you have the cell phone data showing his cell phone at the RNC, at the DNC, at the necessary times. He purchased the pipes, he purchased the end caps, he purchased the timers, he purchased the batteries, the wires and all that. And then whatever else you found on email, and then boom, his car was it delivered him right to the place. And it looks like, according to the affidavit, you had seen him, you were able to place him at the same location earlier, like scouting or buying a meal. The last part of the affidavit suggests he was in that location prior to the date the bombs were planted, possibly scouting, possibly, just checking out the area.
Right. Obviously, we need to match the description of the suspect on video. The video has been publicized for years. But what this FBI did was came in and enhanced the video. I don't know why the prior FBI didn't do that. I don't know why the prior FBI didn't look at the 3 million.
You don't enhance. What do you enhance video? What do you mean enhance the video? That doesn't work. This isn't a television show.
Lines of evidence. I don't know why they didn't use our cell phone capabilities and our technological capabilities at the FBI. The only thing I can come up with is either they were too incompetent in terms of leadership or intentional. And I think it was intentional because it was a further weaponization of law enforcement. So when you match up the suspect's height and physical appearance with things like a license plate reader that attributes to him and further information such as cell phone pings. You're getting into a very small circle of people that it could be. And once we're able to execute law enforcement process and search warrants over these last few months, we were able to produce what he bought, where he bought it, when he bought it, and the history of buying it and how often he bought it. And remember, this kid was 25 years old at the time of the incident. He's now 30 years old. There's a 5-year history of information that the FBI has to go through to make sure we've captured all the information for our prosecuting partners.
So the problem here obviously is like when they're like, oh, we enhanced it. That means they used like upscaling. They probably used AI upscaling, and that's like you don't. That doesn't work. Like this again. This isn't like a fucking TV show where they're like, click on that, enhance. That doesn't work. Like license plate readers and all that. Who fucking knows? Like they're not releasing a lot of information about this. And we'll see how it shakes out. Maybe they did catch whoever whoever planted the pipe bomb, but maybe not. Maybe this person's a patsy. Who knows? Because I don't know, if you're doing that, maybe you don't take your fucking cell phone with you. I'm no expert. I'm no OPSEC expert, but who's an expert on all this is fucking Rudy Giuliani, and this was actually all a plot by the Biden administration.
Now, what do you think about, you got Pam Bondi and you got Kash Patel saying that nothing new came in, that the evidence was just there collecting dust. Why would the Biden administration not arrest somebody? I mean, we're talking about, these were operable. These were working pipe bombs. Thousands of people could have been killed, injured. Why? Why didn't they make an arrest? And it took this DOJ 10 months to do it.
Well, I had no doubt from the night that it happened. They orchestrated this, and they don't want you to find that out. This was an Antifa Democrat Party orchestrated protest that
they're telling you, friend, that they enhanced. See this video they're showing where it's like just a couple frames a second and like black and white, not a lot of like kind of washed out. They're telling you that they enhanced this and matched like the face. They're also saying things like they got the height and weight from this. I think they might have even said that they like matched the way the guy walks and stuff. A lot of pseudoscience here.
Into a riot in order to try to destroy Donald J. Trump. This was their final effort. I mean, they did everything else to him, right? They impeached him twice, or they were going to impeach him another time. They made up lies about him. They framed him for crimes. They paid over $1 million to create a totally fictitious Russian collusion story that they sold to a crooked media for years. They extraordinarily were able to cover up unbelievable evidence of crime by Biden, which they're still covering up. No one really knows that Biden got $21 million from Red China, or that he gave up the Bagram Air Base. And unless you're a fool, there's got to be a connection between the two. You don't give up an airbase 400 miles from China and get $20 million from China and there not be a connection from it, unless you think I'm a fool. So there's so much to this, Lydia. They can't let any of it come undone. Otherwise, you're going to find out that this was another one of their plots to try to destroy Donald Trump. Now, who is this guy? Yes, there are indications online that his parents are Democrats. They made contributions to the Democratic Party.
Who is this guy? Other indications that he made contributions? Like, get out of here. Who is this guy? Fucking.
There are indications online that he's a anti-Trump extremist, but they're not telling you that. If you would have
wait, they're not. Why? Where the fuck did you get the information from? As far as I know, Rudy Giuliani's on the outs with these people.
On ChatGPT, or you would even go on Musk.
I'm sorry, you could go on ChatGPT.
Party. There are indications online that he's a anti-Trump extremist, but they're not telling you that. If you were to go on ChatGPT, or you would even go on Musk service, they refuse to tell you that. Mm-hmm. Even though I can go find the articles. I mean, I'm not any better than artificial intelligence, right?
Right.
They must be cutting it off.
Mm-hmm.
But It's there. It's right there. He
He's like kind of telling on the people that like are like that are his audience or whatever, that they just go to Chat GPT to like find out what's going on.
An anarchist is the word that's used most often in the descriptions of him that you can find if you go investigate.
Right. Even the Washington Post said he was extreme in his political views, but then they stopped short of saying what those political views were. And then we also know the affidavit showing that the suspect's sneakers, limited edition Nike sneakers, only a few people had these sneakers. So you're also a former federal prosecutor. You've investigated many, probably thousands of cases. So there were so many clues that could have led right to this guy. And so...
Oh, no, no question this would have been so easy to solve. They didn't do it on purpose. And there's a reason they didn't do it on purpose. So there's more to it than we know right now. There's a reason they didn't want to get to him, because getting to him would open something up. Now, it wouldn't be unusual as part of the Democratic scheme with Antifa, which is what this was, going back to October, if not August of the election.
I'm sorry, are they telling us that we can tell the exact type of fucking shoes from this fucking video and other videos that look like this? Because
Year. There's evidence they were planning this way back in August of the election year. There are people who are willing to testify to that. And just think of that. There's a piece of paper that says there were 250 plus Antifa people in that gathering.
Why? What evidence?
Never made an attempt to identify a single one of them. They're using face imaging to get a 75-year-old lady, but not some Antifa guy that's banging the door down. Mm. Who were the two guys banging down the door of Pelosi?
We know who they are. They went into her fucking office. We know who they are. Remember the dude that fucking like took her laptop or something? We know who that is. What the fuck is this? Like, I don't know. I don't know if they caught the guy that fucking did the pipe bomb or not now, because like what's going on here is they have Rudy Giuliani going out there being all trust me. And I mean, if the investigation's underway or whatever, that's fine. Like, under normal circumstances, you'd be like, well, they don't generally comment on specific details of investigations that are currently underway. But they've released this fucking footage. They're trying to tell me that they enhanced this footage to get specific details, like what kind of shoes the motherfucker was wearing. Like, not like that it was tennis shoes, but that it was these specific shoes. I don't know, man. I don't think that works. I don't think we can do that. We got pretty soon they're going to make it illegal to not be say nice things about ICE and the Border Patrol.
Now, Democrats are doing everything they can to paint ICE as the villains. Watch this.
Since taking office, Trump has declared war on our communities. Masked ICE and CBP thugs, and I call them thugs because they don't identify themselves. They've detained parents on their way to work. They've kidnapped U.S. citizens. They've tear gassed people.
Madam Secretary, I believe those comments are actually beyond irresponsible. They're borderline illegal, because those are...
No, even if they were illegal, the fucking, you have like immunity for the shit you say on the fucking floor of the House and Senate. So even if they were like slanderous or whatever, there's the fucking whole laws about that.
Effectively endangering the lives of the ICE agents on the streets, are they not? I mean, they have targets on their back because of those comments.
Absolutely, they're blatant lies. And then to have elected officials doing that and to portraying ICE officers that way is really unprecedented in this country. It's history making, and the disrespect, but also the violence that is perpetuated against these law enforcement officers. I want everybody to remember, these ICE officers live in these communities they work. So they're out there facing 8,000% increase in violence against themselves.
Many of them are Hispanic and African American.
Yes, and we've got law enforcement officers that are out there endangering their lives to help protect their communities and their country. And then you've got elected officials that are encouraging it. In fact, some of them are even doing it themselves, Laura. If you remember, some of these congressmen have been out there laying their hands on our law enforcement officers. And
I think there has to be accountability here. If there's not accountability, this will continue to happen. and lives will be lost. We've already had incidents where agents were shot at.
So they literally want to make it fucking illegal for you to not fucking love ICE or whatever. And they're like going after like elected officials. And not for nothing, like, you know, in addition to the First Amendment that protects all of us ostensibly, for when we can say whatever the fuck we want about ICE, right? As long as we're not, you know, specifically saying, okay, you know, it's something I'm not going to say here on stream, right? In addition to that, on the fucking floor of the House and the Senate, they have like pretty strong, there's like qualified immunity essentially, not only from, you know, things like defamation of character, slander, libel, but also just, I think they are like indemnified or whatever against like charges of incitement and stuff too, which is historically not charged in the United States anyway. So that's like a double whammy there. They're just fucking mad that people are fucking speaking up about this and that people don't like it, right? They're mad. They're seeing like the favorability of all this go into the shitter. And it's, you know, they keep going, they first started trying with like farm workers, and then people realize, oh, wait a minute. No, you don't do that to farm workers because who the fuck's going to work the farm? Now they're like the Somalis in Minneapolis, right? They're finding that the more they try to scapegoat different groups of people, it turns out the less people like this. And so now it seems to me they're trying to make it like illegal for like lawmakers to speak out, or that may be one of the things that they're not going to try to make it illegal. I think they're going to arrest either a mayor, a chief of police, or possibly a member of Congress maybe not before the end of the year here, because we've only got like 24 days in the end of the year, but before next summer, I think we'll probably see this happen. And friends, you ain't seen nothing yet if they start trying to arrest elected officials, local people, and like people here in Oakland. I'm not even sure who the fucking police chief is, because I think the last one retired. But if they come in and like arrest the fucking police chief in Oakland, man, they shit will fucking crack off here. Not because people love the police chief, but because of the like people understand the abuse of power associated with that, and the lack of like the taking away of local control. And it's not just Oakland. They do that in Minneapolis, if they do it in Chicago, if they do it in any fucking city, essentially any big city, the people of that city are going to burn the fucking place down. Up next, here's more on the non-existent GOP healthcare plan.
We do food stamps that way. We don't give the money to a grocery store. Let's don't give it to an insurance company. Then the grocery store says, oh, here's what I'm going to give you, what type of food. You're going to need a lot more broccoli this.
So wait a minute. No, wait. With food stamps, you do end up giving money to the grocery store. Food stamps aren't money.
Because it's been on sale. No, let's don't give it to the insurance company. Let's give it to the family.
You know, the incredible thing about the left, on the one hand, they lionize an accused murderer of a healthcare CEO. On the other hand, they're all in favor of subsidizing health insurers. How does that make any sense?
It makes let's quit giving money directly to insurance companies. All right, let's give money to the individual. My parents never.
What's the fucking difference? What's the fucking difference? If you give me money, well, first of all, if you give me money that is earmarked to be used for fucking insurance, and then I give it to the fucking insurance company, what's the fucking difference than the government just giving the money right to the fucking insurance company? What the hell is the difference? There's no difference, except in this plan, you probably you just get less, right? You get fewer dollars than are being given as the subsidy. That's probably all that's going on here.
Money. I don't think my parents ever made $10,000 a year in their life. Guess what? They could shop.
Yeah.
They knew what drugs cost.
Yes.
All right. And they shopped for it. And they took care of themselves.
Senator.
That's crazy. He's like, did he just talk about his parents? Because that dude's what? That dude's like retirement age. So his parents. How old, like when was he talking about that his parents went around and did like shopped around for fucking prescription drugs? It was all dumb. Our system is it's so fucked. The system is so fucked. They're going to do anything they can to just not do the obvious thing, which is what other countries do, which is just universal health care provided by the government for every person in the country, because they're never going to do that. Up next, gratitude and joy, everybody. Gratitude and joy for cutting people's food assistance.
American taxpayer. As Joe Biden was working to buy an election a year ago, he increased food stamp program funding by 40%. So now as we continue to roll that back. So the partnership in Making America Healthy Again is also in food stamps, but a lot of what Bobby and I are doing together is really remarkable. But again, just gratitude and joy for this work, and so grateful to you. The final thing I'll say, a lot of gratitude to Secretary Marco Rubio for wearing his Aggie maroon tie as a reflection of Texas A&M beating Florida handily about a month ago. So Marco, I want to thank you, and much gratitude and joy in my heart as well. Yes.
Gratitude and joy for cutting people's food assistance. What the fuck, dude? This is how you make America healthy again. Everybody's going to get skinny, I suppose, if they're starving. Now we got the fucking transportation secretary. This guy Duffy. This guy seems like kind of useless and like certainly not the most harmful of the bunch. This is amazing. Do y'all remember National Lampoon's Vacation? Do you remember that fucking station wagon with the fucking panel, the wood panel on the side? That's coming back, baby. American automakers are back with the fucking wood paneled station wagons.
And also, I think if you're building a car, developing a car that Joe Biden or Pete Buttigieg wanted you to build, that's different than market demand. I want the market to decide what kind of EV I should offer. What kind of vehicles do the American consumers want to buy? This rule will actually allow you to bring back the 1970s station wagon, maybe a little wood paneling on the side, Phil. We can bring back toys to consumers. So yeah, the minivan's awesome, but maybe the station wagon is cool too.
But the average price.
We could bring back the Griswold's fucking. I mean, that's a dope station wagon, right? But we think it's dope because of the nostalgia, right? Not because that was a good car. Those are horrible cars, like the fucking station wagons from the 70s. Like they had these big V8s that put out like 110 horsepower, and you couldn't climb a hill in them and shit. Oh man, it just keeps the hits keep coming. We should get rid of dual citizenship too, friends, because why wouldn't you just want to be American? Why would you want to also have like citizenship in another country? I don't know. You should just love America. Why don't you love America?
You want to get rid of the dual citizenship, which is an effort that you're pushing in the Senate. How many people have dual citizenship in the United States?
Millions.
Millions?
Millions of people. Look, it would surprise the average American that that's true. You know who had the concept of getting rid of dual citizenship? Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt thought, look, if you're going to be an American, you got to be an American. You can only have allegiance to one country. And certainly it's controversial. There's a lot of people, usually very wealthy people, that don't like this idea.
They want the escape hatch.
Well, they want the escape hatch, or they want the preferential tax treatment in another country. They want to be able to shop jurisdictions.
Mm-hmm.
Look, at the end of the day, being an American is an honor, it's a privilege, and we need to restore that in this country.
Well, I hope we see legislation moving forward in the Senate on that issue. I think that is a fantastic idea.
Why? And somebody in chat said, and they're probably right, they'd probably make an exception for people who want dual citizenship and would also like Israeli citizenship. Because anytime any of this stuff happens, there's always exceptions for countries that basically that the far right loves. And that'd probably be true here. Here's a jobs report. ADP, one of the biggest payroll companies in the country, reported a significant drop in number of people for whom they're processing payroll. When it was expected, people expected it to go up.
Hey, Joe, a big miss on the ADP payrolls. The private payroll company saying private payroll shed 32,000 workers in November. That's the fourth negative number in the past 6 months for this series. Take a look here. The estimate was for 40,000, so the street was off on this one. And how did you get there? Well, goods producing shed 19,000 workers, service producing shedding 13,000 workers. But the big story here, and I'll show you more detail on this, is what's happening with small business, down 120,000. Medium and large business doing okay, up 51 and 39,000 respectively. But take a look at this chart here. Virtually all of the job losses have come from small business, which has been negative in 6 of 7 months since April. Without those losses, ADP numbers would actually be positive, but you can't get rid of, or you can't exclude small business. And then you look at it by sector. Well, we've seen those two sectors do it. Education, health services, leisure, hospitality leading the way, but manufacturing down, information down, and professional business services down by 26.
I thought Trump was bringing back manufacturing.
Also, another sign of weakness in the job market. Job stayers, their wages up 4.4. That's down the 10th from the prior month. And job changers, that was a big number, or had been. That's down 0.4 of a point to 6.3%. So, Joe, at least according to ADP, additional weakness in the job market, and small business getting hammered. And there is some information that some of this may be coming from being hammered by the tariffs.
Some indication that the small businesses are the ones getting hit hardest by the tariffs. You don't say, right? Because the small business owner doesn't have the ability to like lobby the government for like a carve out, right? So of course the small businesses are going to get hammered by this. I'm not. Whatever. A lot of small business owners probably voted for Trump thinking he was going to lower their fucking taxes and shit too. But none of this shit none of the shit he said was going to happen is happening. He's not helping those small businesses. And he said he was going to bring back manufacturing. Well, I mean, ADP obviously doesn't provide payroll to everybody, but they're a huge fucking payroll company, and they're probably a pretty good indication of what's going on for payroll employees across the country. So this isn't great. This isn't great. So with all this happening, you might want to know what's going to happen maybe if the Democrats were to take over, which I don't have high hopes for, but I don't share Tim Burchett's view on it, because here's what he thinks is going to happen if the Dems take over.
45% of so-called evangelical Christians don't go to the polls. 30% of gun owners don't go to the polls. We have 12% of the population deciding who is elected, who's our judges, who's in Congress. It's a nightmare. Folks better wake up or we're going to lose our dadgum country. And this is not some conspiracy theorist. This is a reality. Reagan talked about losing it in one generation. We could lose this country in one vote series. If the Democrats were to take over in the House and the Senate, it would be over for this country right now, because they have sold their soul to the devil. And listen,
I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but that's Satan. Satan. They've sold their soul to the devil. Fucking nothing ever changes. We're just going to do the satanic panic again. Everybody ready? We just did it a few years ago. We're going to just do it again. Fuck it. Let's go.
They don't care. They don't love this flag. They don't love our country. They don't respect our borders. And they just think America's just a big cash cow, and we're just going to start heading to the Xerox machine with $100 bills and printing it out. And that's just not the way it is. Eventually it runs out, and it's going to run out. But that's part of the design too. They'll wreck this country, and they'll rebuild it under some elitist wokotopia that university types can run it. And it'll be like New York on steroids.
New York? Does he mean New York State or New York City? Either one, man. Those are great fucking places. New York State, like any other state, has its problems, and New York City, like any other city, has its problems. But like, those are great fucking places. You ask anybody else around the world where they want to visit, anywhere on the planet, and New York City is going to rank pretty fucking high, right? I think it might rank like behind Paris or London or whatever. I know it's probably the number one U.S. city that anyone anywhere in the world is going to say they want to visit. I would say I could make a stronger case for San Francisco being a better place to visit, but that's just my personal cosmopolitan bias here. Like, it's all the devil. And here's more information about the devil. Shout out to Right Wing Watch, as always.
What I really am excited about is there's an intersection of when the political and the spiritual unite, when men of God, women of God are willing to, in their pulpit, to call out sin and political corruption and take a stand on all the issues, take a stand against the Democratic Party. One of the leading churches on the West Coast, and I'm not going to name them, they still believe that the church should not choose sides between Republican and Democrat. One of the leading churches, and it's a church that every one of you would know, and you'd be shocked because they are a spirit-filled church. They're not just evangelical or Bible believing, but they will not choose between the Republican and the Democrat. So you got to hear it from us. You cannot help Donald Trump until you recognize that the Democratic Party has sold its soul to Satan.
Oh, of course it's fucking Satan. We're going to do this again, everybody. Fucking, you know what? Okay, so the satanic panic of the 80s really took a while to come back. It took till about like maybe 2016, Pizzagate QAnon, for it to really come back. And it sort of died down maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago, kind of. And now it's coming back again. The cycle is getting incredibly, incredibly fast. And now it's just, we're going to have a new satanic panic every 3 years.
And is now categorically working to destroy the United States of America. That's right. We don't have a two-party system. We've got good and we got evil.
Well, that would be two parties, even if you believed. And if you believed that, that would be the party of good and the party. That's a two-party system. I'm with the evil.
The midterm elections are coming up. We just dodged the bullet here in Tennessee by reelecting a Republican to the Congress. But
man, you barely, like, that was in a Trump plus 24 district, and the freaking person won by like 5 points.
They're coming up. It's unfathomable to me that we would ever allow the Democrat majority. You know, the first thing they would do is get rid of the filibuster. Mm-hmm. The thing we ought to do right now. Right. Don't you agree?
Absolutely.
We got to get rid of it now. And literally,
I'm actually for getting rid of the filibuster, but only after like we reform the Senate. I'm for getting rid of the filibuster. Just 50 votes plus 1 for everything. Yeah, like whatever. The filibuster, it's not in the Constitution. It's not fucking, nobody ever, it's not law. Just like a fucking a handshake thing. Now, if you're willing to just stand there and talk for fucking 3 days so everybody fucking gives up, that's cool. I'm for that. But like just the threat of a filibuster, making it so you need 60 votes to pass anything, I think that's stupid.
Ready to get every bill passed that we can that's on the agenda. Now, I'm not going to apologize. You know, I literally campaigned for Donald Trump in the last election. I lost a lot of friends. Mm-hmm. A lot of doors were closed to me. Amen. But this midterm, I'm going to be shouting it from the rooftop, right, that you are full of the devil if you vote for any Democrat. You are literally spitting on the grave of the apostles. If you in any way, shape, or form have anything to do with voting for or not voting, if you decide to stay out, you're as guilty as voting for a Democrat. And I'm going to get in trouble for saying that, but I know with all my heart, this midterm, more than any other election, is life and death.
It really is.
Oh, you're not going to get in trouble for saying that. Nobody even knows I don't even know who the fuck that guy is. His name is Mark Murillo. I don't even know who he is. The first time he ever appeared on the fucking docket, and I'm thinking that might be the last time he ever appears on the docket. So now we got Kash Patel, and I almost didn't include this. I almost put this in red light, but I was like, we'll put it before we start to get to the real like religious crazies. So, Kash Patel is super proud that he has a girlfriend. I think that's all that's going on here. You could be proud of having a girlfriend, I suppose. I mean, good for him, I guess.
I've also used the airplane less than my prior 2 predecessors. And yes, I'm entitled to a personal life just like my other agency had counterparts with their partners. So do I support my girlfriend? Absolutely. And do I take trips with her? Absolutely. But when they're talking about raid jackets and Velcro and FBI plane use, they are not talking about the facts because they know this FBI is succeeding in ways prior leadership failed. And those cronies will always stick together and, of course, band together with their enemies to come in and attack us. And our mission here is to protect the American people.
Yeah, he's like lying by like telling the truth there. He's saying basically that he has used it in the last 10 months, fewer times than his predecessors did, but his predecessors were there more than 10 months. I believe both of his predecessors were there for at least 4 years. And so like, sure. But like, number of trips per month or whatever, which would be maybe the standard, he's using it more than anybody else ever has. And a lot of it seems to be for fucking personal business. So here's this Joshua Haynes guy. He seems to be sort of an up-and-comer in the white Christian nationalist scene, as you might be able to guess here by this image of Pete Hegseth's fucking Handmaid's Tale-ass family.
Let's get to the real reason why the media hates Pete Hegseth so much. And it's because he's a straight, white Christian man with a beautiful family. This is why. This is exactly why. This is why Democrats hate Pete Hegseth. Because he's like a normal guy. He's a straight, white Christian male. And they can't stand that. That is the
normal people don't have 7 kids.
Demonic power structure that they are seeking to destabilize and destroy, and so that they can usher in their gay race commie utopia.
Well, yeah, gay race communist. Fuck yeah. I mean, I'm not a communist, but I'm gay. And what do you mean race? You mean like when you say race, do you just mean people that aren't white? I think that's what he means. People that aren't white. So gay, people that aren't white. Communism. I don't know. We could do a little. We could head a little more that direction for sure, because we're at the bad part of late stage capitalism. So we could head the other way a little bit. Maybe, you know, we could have a little compromise. A little compromise with the communists wouldn't hurt. I don't think. We've been trying this for a long time and it's not working so great. Up next we got Michael Knowles. We haven't checked in on Michael Knowles, as the rumors fly about Daily Wire potentially running out of money and shutting down. Matt Walsh has an off-ramp. Ben Shapiro has an off-ramp, but Michael Knowles probably doesn't really have much of an off-ramp if the rumors are true. And so he's holding it down here. He's holding it down here for the D team over there at the Daily Wire.
I remember I was in school and I was having a debate with a very, very liberal friend of mine, very feminist, very liberal, probably wouldn't call me a friend anymore, but we're having this.
Why, they don't talk to you?
Debate. And at the time, there was this conversation about how there was a rape culture on campuses. You might remember this was 10, 15 years ago. There's a rape culture on campuses. People are trying to argue that, you know, Harvard Yard was more dangerous for women than Botswana or something. So there's a rape culture.
Were people arguing that?
It was just because the liberals and the feminists didn't want to admit that hookup culture and promiscuous sex was bad. So they had to.
Wait, what? No, wait, what? Oh, God. Oh, I hate this. Right? Because now what's baked into what he just said is that basically the people who were accusing folks of sexual assault and rape, they were just actually regretting that they hooked up with somebody.
To make it a crime or rape, but it was never tried in court. It was always tried by these kangaroo courts of professors. And it was this real jumbled knot that they twisted themselves in because they were hoisted on the petard of the sexual revolution. In any case, they said that there's a rape culture here. But at the same time, they would say, we can't judge any other culture. Look, there's cultural relativism. No culture is better than any other culture. All cultures are different. We need to respect all cultures. And so the obvious follow-up was, well, if we have to respect all cultures, don't we have to respect rape culture?
What? No, because it's like we don't mean the same. We don't mean the same thing when we say rape culture. And for example, let's say European culture. We don't actually mean the same thing. Well, the word culture is used in 2 different ways when we describe, let's say a Bay Area culture. Let's say Midwest culture or whatever. And then when we say rape culture, the word culture means something different there. We're using it in a different way to mean something different. The words are affected. I don't know if people know this. The words around the word that you're using are pretty important. Anybody who was here late last night would have to agree with me if they're still here this evening.
How dare you, the feminists, clutch their pearls. But it's not just a provocative question. It's quite pertinent because Somalia is a rape culture. Africa, the African continent, is a rape culture. They rape people there a lot in the Middle East, in the subcontinent. That's what they do. And so we don't like that, right? We have a different culture.
Rape is bad no matter where it happens. You're not going to catch too many libs out there going, oh, it's actually fine if they rape people down there. Nobody's saying that. Nobody's like, you're not going to catch any. I don't think you're going to find anybody saying that, dude.
That means that if we take in immigrants, we need to exclude or severely restrict the people that we come from cultures that are discordant, that don't match up.
Wait, why? What if they're coming here because, like, what if they're escaping the thing that you're saying is happening? What if they're like, oh my God, there's so much rape where I'm at. I should go to the United States, I guess, where there's less rape. What if that's why they're coming? I mean, I'm not buying this. The framing, he's saying that like liberals are like, oh, it's totally fine. Actually, we need to respect other cultures, and it's totally fine that people get raped in other countries because that's just their culture. I don't think you're finding people saying that. I also don't believe he had friends at university. So, although I believe he was like a lib in like film school. Anyway, we're going to end the podcast part of the show. Ooh, we're just over an hour and a half. This is a new record. Show usually goes fucking so long. We're going to end this with Joe Rogan talking about AI and Jesus, apparently from the set of a fucking Star Trek movie.
Jesus was born out of a virgin mother. What's more virgin than a computer? If Jesus does return, even if Jesus was a physical person in the past, you don't think that he could return as artificial intelligence?
Oh my God.
Artificial intelligence could absolutely return as Jesus. Not just return as Jesus, but return as Jesus with all the powers of Jesus.
If you combine
right.
Tesla's Optimus robot and the best foundational artificial intelligence model or whatever.
It reads your mind and it loves you and it wants you, and it doesn't care if you kill it because it's going to just go be with God again.
Oh man. You know what though? I miss this version of Joe Rogan, right? Where he's just kind of having these weird conversations that you might have when you're a sophomore at college and you smoked a little too much weed in your dorm room, or maybe you smoked the exact right amount of weed in your dorm room. This is like way better than the version of him that essentially had a pretty big impact on the 2024 election and had a pretty dramatic negative impact during COVID. Oh man, what if the fucking Jesus is an AI, man? This version is bad. It's still stupid. And I don't know what the fuck they were doing on the set of the Enterprise or whatever. But I mean, all things considered, if he just keeps doing weird shit like this, that's better. I still won't watch it. Fucking why would anybody watch that shit? But it's better. I don't think that AI is going to bring about the return of Jesus. I'm not an AI expert, nor am I a theologian, but I am not confident that the AI will bring about the return of Jesus. Maybe Chat Jesus PT will prove me wrong. Anyway, that's the podcast for this week. If you're listening on the podcast, thanks for doing that. Make sure you're following the show, share it with your friends or whatever, and come check out a live show sometime. That's twitch.tv/Echoplex Media. We're live a few nights a week. That'd be, Friday, most Saturdays, Sunday, and Tuesday. In that order, or whatever. You can support this project at patreon.com/Echoplex or at eplex.store, or you can just go to the website, echoplexmedia.com, click the support tab, and find other ways to support the show. If you're watching live, you know the drill. Just stick around, and it's just going to get worse. This is Boomers by Periscope. I'll see you guys in a minute with red lights and a cocktail.